Okay, it's high time we talked about Crystal Palace. Again, yes, they've been good for a while now, but a lot happened over the summer. So many folks expected them to experience a significant drop in form. Instead, they went and got scarier. Of course, you remember that they won the FA Cup a couple months back, which was the first trophy in their entire history. Thanks to that win, they should be playing in the Europa League this season, but they were victims of UEFA's laws, which is why they find themselves in the Conference League instead. That, though, could turn out to be a blessing in disguise, and you'll see why we say that later in this video. Anyway, after having won the FA Cup, they went ahead to defeat Premier League champions Liverpool in the Community Shield game to lift another trophy and put many people on the alert. But the opening game of the Premier League season wasn't spectacular. They were held to a 0-0 draw by Chelsea, albeit controversially, as Eberechi Eze's free kick goal was chalked off. Now, speaking of Eberechi, he decided to take a step up in his career, leaving Palace for an Arsenal homecoming. He was Crystal Palace's best player, difference maker, and even the scorer of the goal that won them their first ever trophy, so losing him was always going to seriously affect them. Like that wasn't bad enough, they came so close to losing their captain Mark Gahey to Liverpool on deadline day. Losing their best player and nearly losing their captain rocked them real bad at the beginning of the season. They won just one of their first 4 games across all competitions, and that was a 1-0 win against Norwegian outfit Fredrikstad in the Conference League playoffs. It wasn't really a great start, but after Eze's exit was confirmed, they quickly went into the market and got his replacement Yeremy Pino for less than half of what they sold Eze for. And from his very first appearance, he started to show that it was a brilliant piece of business. He made a cameo appearance as Crystal Palace demolished Aston Villa 3-0 in the Premier League. It was then that people started to pay real attention to them this season. They would go on to draw against Sunderland, beat West Ham, and then, the big one, beat Liverpool. Now, that was not just a win, it was a massive statement. We'll talk about that in a second, but if you aren't yet subscribed to the channel, go do that right away, so you never miss out on our amazing content. You see, going into that game against Liverpool, the reigning champions were a very scary sight. They had the best window in Europe and now boast the scariest squad on the continent. On top of that, they were yet to drop points in all competitions throughout the season, always popping up with late goals when they needed them. They were the only perfect team in the Premier League after 5 games, so Palace were far from being favourites going into that game. But when the Eagles hosted the champions, they soared high and beat them at their own game. When Chiesa equalised in the 87th minute, we thought Liverpool had struck again with their late show. But Palace pulled out an Uno reverse and destroyed Liverpool with a 97th minute winner, the latest winning goal Liverpool have conceded in the Premier League since, at least, the 2006-2007 season. That goal ruined Liverpool's perfect start to the season, but even more importantly, it extended Crystal Palace's own unbeaten run to 18 games, equaling their club record, which had stood for 56 years. And you know what's super interesting? During this run, Palace played Manchester City, Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea, and Liverpool 3 times, so it was far from an easy run, but they have managed to do it and come out with 2 trophies. Right now, after 6 games, they sit comfortably in the Champions League places on the Premier League table and are the only team yet to lose a single game in the England top flight. How did they get this good? How the heck has this mid-table club become so scary? Well, it all started with the appointment of Oliver Glasner in February 2024. He wasn't exactly the most popular coach around, but for whoever cared to look, he already had a great CV. He famously knocked Barcelona out on the way to winning the Europa League with Eintracht Frankfurt in 2022. And it's not just that Glasner is a good manager, he's a tactical genius with a lot of balls. I mean, this is a guy who, after losing 5-2 to City, publicly said that if Pep set up the same way next time they met, he would solve it. And well, the next time they met was in the FA Cup final, and he did indeed solve it. That takes a lot of balls. Glasner brought in a new system and was able to drill his players to be able to play in that system and excel in it. But the Austrian gaffer believes Palace can perform even better than they're doing right now, which is why he keeps demanding that the owners do better in the window. Now that's the kind of coach you want in charge of your club, and with the limited resources at his disposal, he has done some great recruitment. he has signed Maxence Lacroix, Ismail Assar and Yeremy Pino, all of whom have proven to be great additions to the squad. And he's been able to convince most of the best players to remain at the club and continue to build, which is why Crystal Palace were the club with the most representation in England's Euro 2024 squad. They have Dean Henderson at the back, who's one of the best shot stoppers in the league and something of a penalty specialist. Their centre-back options of Marc Guehi, Lacroix, Chadi Riyad and Chris Richards are very solid. They have conceded the fewest goals and have kept the second most clean sheets in the league this season. In the midfield, there's Adam Wharton, one of the most highly rated and highly sought-after young midfielders in England. He often plays as the deep-lying playmaker and is usually partnered up with the experienced Will Hughes or Daichi Kamada, who usually do the box-to-box movements. Then he makes use of wing-backs who, in their resting state, form a midfield 4, when defending form a defensive 5, and when attacking fly as high as possible to overload the flanks. There's Daniel Munoz on the right and Tyrick Mitchell on the left, both of whom have proven to be great going forward and staying back. Nathaniel Klein is there to provide backup for Munoz, while Borna Sosa was just brought in from Ajax this summer to provide backup for Mitchell. Then in the attack he has Mateta, who's one of the most underrated strikers in the Premier League. There's Ismail Assar on the right, who has proven to be a really prolific player, while Yeremy Pino, the Eze replacement, has hit the ground running in South London. But that's not all. Palace also have 21-year-old Justin Devaney, 20-year-old Romain S, and of course, the big man Eddie Nketiah, all of whom provide the much-needed depth in attack. But that still wasn't enough, so they went out and got Christantus Uche from Getafe, a man who can do anything and can play in any position ranging from defensive midfield to centre forward. So he's going to be plugging a lot of holes, for sure. As you can see, Palace have the players, system, depth, coach and mentality, which makes them super scary. When they conceded a late equaliser to Liverpool, they didn't sit back. They kept attacking because they wanted to win. That's a crazy mentality. Having finally broken their trophy duck, they surely believe they can keep going for more silverware, and this is exactly why we say that them being demoted to the Conference League might end up being a blessing in disguise. With how good they are, we can see them winning that competition this season, and that'd be another trophy in the cabinet. If they win that, they automatically secure qualification for the Europa League next season, but with the way they're going, who knows? They could even end up securing qualification for the Champions League via their ranking on the Premier League table. We expect 5 teams to qualify from England, once again like last season, and who says they can't take Newcastle's place this time? And like Newcastle, they may also fancy their chances of winning the EFL Cup this season. They seem unable to lose against Liverpool. Maybe they'll knock out the Reds in the next round of the EFL Cup. There's just so much this crop of players can achieve together, and it's super scary when you think about it. But how do you think this season will go for Palace? Will they win another trophy? Will they qualify for the Champions League? Tell us what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, turn on the bell notification so you never miss out on new content. Catch you in the next one. Bye!